Great morning and welcome to another great edition of Money Truth Moments. I am here with our very own financial expert, our very own money whisperer, Judy Kopenbarger. How are you, Judy?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. I always look forward to our show on Tuesday mornings. And folks,
I
if
do.
you just,
I do
sorry,
too.
go
And I just think it's so funny how you say money whisperer because I feel like I don't whisper very often. I just think that's great.
Oh, and if you're
Uh,
just joining us for the first time, welcome, folks. If you're not following Judy, do so please at judykopenbarger.today. Just make sure you make that change as well, too. We've got a great show. We had a fantastic show last week. We talked about setting and achieving intentional financial goals. That was part one last week. So if you didn't see it, make sure you catch that episode. This week, we're covering part two. But I want to begin for those joining us this morning with a little summary of last week's episode, Judy. So if you want to touch on that a little bit, just to remind folks where we are so we can pick up in part two.
of course. Yeah, we talked about, setting goals, how important it is to be very specific with your goals. They need to have a date exactly when they're going to be achieved, like a date on the calendar that year, that day, that week, right? um, you need to have the right people helping you achieve your goals or helping you establish your goals. So if you're married, you might want to include your spouse. If you have grown kids, maybe they're included, other business partners, things like that. We talked a little bit about what kind of goals, like the horizon. Should you set 5-year goals or 20-year goals or 2-week goals? Yes. Right. You always want to have goals for like real soon, in the near future, and then the long term. And most people have all of those goals going at one time. When they have a comprehensive plan that is really well thought out, that's probably going to happen for you. So something that you might want to do in 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now, maybe 10 years from now, and then, long term, how am I going to survive financially at the other end of my life? So things like that are good to think about. I think sometimes when people are thinking about a plan, it's like, what if my plan fails? What if I want to have so much money for a certain goal on a certain date and I don't? There are obstacles that happen. Life happens. So a lot of times I'm asked the question, what happens when that life happens and I was saving and all of a sudden, poof, it's gone and I'm starting all over again. Like none of us have ever had that experience.
Uh-huh.
So it happens. And so with want to really be flexible. You want to remember that your plan is a moving, breathing document. It's something that will change. You want to course correct as you go, and don't be a stick in the mud. Like I can't change the plan once I have it. Of course you can. If you look at how games are won, they have a plan going in, how they're going to do offensive and defensive activities. But when they get in there, it's like, oh, we need to shift, right? We need to do a little something different to respond to what's happening to us. And life is that way. Financial planning is that way. So I think those are some of the things that we talked about to get ready for today, which is going to be a little bit deeper dive and a little bit more specific. But I think if you think about goals for now, soon, and later, you have your right team, you're able to prioritize and, stay the course. You have a really great foundation.
So let me start off our follow-up question to what you just covered on there. So
Mhm.
let's talk about what specific actions can we take to increase the chances of achieving our financial goals, right? Rather than just making it more wishful thinking.
You got to make it fun, gamify it. A lot of my clients, the ones that are really successful at turning the corner from, I've always failed at this. We always want to save and we can't. We always feel like it's, we get to the end of the month and we're out of money, how do we do that? And we find ourselves back here having the same problems. The ones that turn the corner and they're able to go, that was then, this is now, we have a new normal and we don't worry about those things anymore. They figured out how to gamify it. And I'm thinking of some clients, we'll call them the Borises. They're amazing. They make good money, have really great careers, sweet little family, doing all the things, Southern California stuff. They go to the beach and they have horses, all of that. So they're living this great big life. And with that comes big expenses. And so they've always struggled to just, have a little bit more money at the end of the month. It was always the other way, month left over. And so they have turned the corner and they've gamified it. And I'll give you some ideas about how to do that. But what they do is they both tend to shop online where you have the cart, the cart, and the stuff
Hmm.
goes in the cart, and then you go click and it shows up in a box a few hours later at your house where we live. It's just crazy. It's wonderful and convenient, but it means, as soon as the boxes come, the money goes out, right? The bill comes. And so what they decided to do was actually make a game, make it fun, where Sunday morning they get up and they have their coffee before the kids are all, aroused. And they go to the cart that they have filled up all week long with all the stuff they think they want to buy, but they haven't clicked deliver it. And so together they go over the list to make sure they're not doubling up on orders. I got cleaning supplies, so did you. I got toilet paper, so did you. Now we have too much, right? And sometimes it's those other things, little things for the kitchen, little things for the car, the house, whatever, for the kids. And you don't really need them. There's needs, wants, and wishes. And so what they do on Sunday morning is they go through everything that's in the cart and go, yep, nope, yep, nope. And it's a game for them. And so it's fun, and it takes a lot of the stress, a lot of the guessing. It brings the conversation together. So it's more of a collaborative plan. Pardon me. And they're spending so much less doing
Wow.
that. And when they do make a purchase, it's intentional. But there's so many things like that when it comes to spending plan or budgeting. So many things that you can do. There are apps you can put on your phone, and it tells you if you plan for, $800 a month for groceries, $1,500 a month for groceries, whatever it is, how much you have left. And so you can go, wow, I've got 2 weeks left and I'm halfway through. I'm doing okay, right? So it's amazing all the things that you can get just on your phone, apps that kind of make it more like a game. You can challenge yourself, honey, you save $500 and I'll save $500 this month. And let's see who wins at the end of the month. Right. So it's just making it fun, making challenges for your family. A goal by Christmas, we want to have $5,000 in the bank. And so all those little choices change. What you order from the cart will change. What you order when you go out to dinner, or if you go out to dinner, will change. Maybe you go out, but not as often. And you just become a little more aware, a little more conscious that way. You can gamify it, make it a challenge, and you'll achieve your goals even more quickly.
I've never heard that approach, and it's definitely like you say. It sounds fun, yet you're being
Mhm.
very productive and being very responsible. That's awesome.
Yeah, well, it's so easy when it comes to money to because you usually grew up in a different household than your spouse, right?
Right.
Different values, different expectations about what it means to save money, to spend money, to manage money. And so pulling that together sometimes, if you haven't had a way to talk about it or have a game together, it can be very stressful. The blame, the shame, digging up all the mistakes that you've made, because we all have financially. Remember that time you did that, or you make too much, you spend too much, or you don't make enough, you spend too much, right? So all of that, taking all that out and just coming together with a way to have the conversation. That's just all it is. And it's different at every house, I think. So hopefully
So,
those
and
things will.
that's a great way also for my next question, which is how do we balance living for today versus saving for the future?
Yeah. Well, there's always now, soon, and later. So now it's like we got to get through the month. We got to pay the bills. The taxes are coming up, whatever it is. We know we're going to have to get a new set of tires, in the next couple of weeks, next couple of months on the car. So those things happen. That's right now. That's real life. I got to make sure the kids got clothes and soccer cleats and, lunch stuff for their lunch boxes and all of that. So then there's soon. And the soon, for most people, it's those enhancing activities, things that make life a little better, maybe a vacation, maybe a summer camp, maybe, some extra thing that we're going to do as a family, an outing or something special. Maybe we're going to add a patio out back, in the backyard so we can enjoy that. So it's those things that make life a little better. They're not really necessary to get through the month or the year, but they really make life more meaningful, more fun, more memorable. So those are kind of the soon goals. And then long term, you want to make sure that at some point, if you don't keep working for your money gets to work. And so public employees are really good at this. Teachers are really good at this. So, they make so much money, but they're always putting money away, and they have their pensions and they have their 403Bs for public employees and nonprofits. And they're kind of trained from the beginning. I'm never going to make millions of dollars doing this, but I'm going to keep some of it for now and some of it for later. So when I stop working, I'll still be okay and there'll still be some income. So those folks are really good at that. And you have someone in your family, you realize that in later years, it's like, wow, they get paid and they don't have to go to work anymore. Their money now is working for them. And so even people that don't have a pension or some kind of a fancy retirement program at work can make their own like personal pension. And it's just a matter of saving a certain amount, every diligently, every month, every week, every pay period, putting a little bit away and making it really be long term. And that represents the later money. So you got now, soon, and later. And if you do that all the time, you'll never have to worry about money at any of those periods of life. You'll always have those life enhancing moments because you've saved for those as well beyond your means. It's wonderful. So now, soon, and later. That's the key.
Awesome. And folks, thank you for joining us this morning. If you're not following Judy, do so at judykopenbarger.today. We're going to talk about Judy's website here in a little bit, but I want to make sure that we don't lose our momentum as we continue to talk about setting and achieving intentional financial goals. So let's say we've reached our goal, right? When we achieve that financial goal, how do we decide what to aim for next? Or how do we keep that momentum going so we keep going forward and not backwards?
More goals, more goals. And if you have all the goals you want, I've got 3 big goals. That's all I need. I need to have a new car every 5 years. I need to retire when I'm 65, and I need to leave $1 million to my kids, And if I do those 3 things in life, I'm happy. And some people have a plan that's that simple. Mine's not. Mine's more complicated, and I always add more goals. So that's usually what I say to folks. I said, you just need more goals, or you need to really refine and be specific about them. If you want to have $1 million at retirement, what's it for? How will you use it? How will it benefit you? What will it mean in your day-to-day life? What are you doing? Who are you doing it with? What does your new life look like in that season? And how will that $1 million make it better? So always reassessing your goals. Sometimes you take the goals that you have, and one was more important, and then you switch it. It was more important to retire at 55, but I do want to have a cabin in the woods. So it might be now that you switch the priority, and now it's more important to have the cabin in the woods. So I'm willing to work another 7 years to make sure I can afford that. So sometimes goal priorities change, and that's okay too. This whole plan, this whole set of goals is a moving, breathing document, and it will change.
So I'm going to throw this question at you. And this kind of reminds me of when you're watching a TV show or a series, how they take you back like 6 years earlier or 20 years prior, right? So if you could give yourself advice, your younger self advice about setting and achieving financial goals, what would you wish for, or what would you wish you knew now, you knew then that you know now? That's my question. What advice would you give your younger self from, a few 30 years ago, 40 years ago?
Do more sooner. Do more sooner. And I think most people that don't feel like they're where they want to be financially, a lot of people I work with they're fine. They're trying to figure out how to give it away and what do I do next. But the people that are kind of struggling, or they're working longer than they want, or they're not really attaining the lifestyle they would like to, they usually say something like that. I wish I would have done more sooner. And what is so interesting is it doesn't take a lot in those early years, because time is your friend. Time is always your friend. So even if you could scrape together $25 a month, $50 a month, some months maybe you can't. But if you can, and it becomes part of your spending plan that you pay yourself along with everybody else that you pay every month, it's powerful how time can be your friend. So I think most people, including myself, I did start early, and I saved often and did well that way, because this was part of my life early in life, fortunately. But I would say I could have done more. You always like to have another million in the bank, more than you have now. I would say starting sooner, avoiding a couple of mistakes that we made early. We wanted to get a house, so we cashed out retirement to get our first initial investment, down payment. Looking back, that wasn't wise. We should have waited longer, but you're pregnant, you want to have a home for the baby, all of that stuff. But it was a financial mistake. We probably could have navigated that better, among other things that we did over the years. So I would say, if you're talking to your younger self, as a collective nugget of wisdom from people that I've talked to over the last, 4 decades, I would say start sooner, save more, educate yourself, learn at least the basics, which is really part of the inspiration for the body of work that I put out there, the Money, Truth, and Life. So people, if they really don't have a mentor, they don't have, parents didn't tell them about money when they were kids and coming up, they have a place to get really what I call money truth, how money really works, what you really can do, the concepts that will not fail you if you do it. And it's one of those things. It's so simple, but not easy.
Right.
One of those things. So educate yourself, learn more sooner is what most people would tell their younger self. Um, Save a little bit more, make some more choices. Not that you're sacrificing your lifestyle, so it's all for tomorrow, because that would put you out of balance, but
Mhm.
just, pay yourself along the way. Time and knowledge are always on your side. Always remember time is your friend. Always.
And speaking of time, you know what time it is, right? So last week you had a great challenge, and that was part one. I can't wait to hear part two of this great challenge too. So take it away.
Yeah, well, as you're thinking about your planning and your saving and your, where do I want to be in the future and all of that, find a way to make it fun. And if money conversations are not fun at your house, this can really be a game changer for you. Find an app. Find an app that you can have, and if you're married, your spouse can have it too. And so you're watching, the money come in and the money go out. That can be really great. Challenge yourself. Like, I mentioned, you say 500 and I'll say 500, and whoever wins gets the prize, right? Not a financial prize, some other kind of fun prize. So things like that. Don't be afraid to create stretch goals. If 500 feels like, wow, that's a challenge, I could do it. What if it's 1,000 a piece? I just did that with clients. It's like, okay, add 1,000 to what you're doing now every month. And it's amazing. They're not even missing it because it was just poof, it was going in the cart or wherever it goes, right? Um, and it might be that it's not a tangible goal or a savings goal. It might be a goal of keeping more of what you make. So maybe it's some kind of tax strategy or getting with your accountant and seeing what you can do to get more write-offs or create a business or something where you're actually, if you're making good money, but half of it goes away. And if you live in California like I do, that's about what it is. Half of it goes
Mhm.
away, plus what you spend every time you buy something, right, on tax. So, how do you make sure that most of that stays in your pocket? There might be a strategy or a game that you could put together at your house to help you keep more of that. Maybe creating a spreadsheet or a dream board, or something that kind of keeps your eye on the prize about your collective planning at your house. Gamify it, make it fun and make it a family activity if you're involving your kids. And most kids can handle this. You think they can't, but they can. And what a great way for them to learn too. So that's your challenge. Gamify your financial plan.
All right, folks, you've heard the challenge. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Let us know what your thoughts on that. Share some of your experiences, and if you have any additional topics or suggestions that you're struggling with that you would like Judy to cover on the show, please do so. So, Judy, we've reached the end of our show. I want to make sure I give you an opportunity to do some final words on here.
Oh, just have a great week. Make it fun and be in the better place you were at the end of the week than you are now. That's your challenge. Have a great
All
week.
right. Awesome. All right, folks. If you're just joining us, please make sure you watch the beginning of the show. Watch last week's episode as well, too, as Judy has covered setting and achieving intentional financial goals. You're going to find a lot of great information from last week's show, this week's show, and remember that she's here every Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. Replays are on Thursdays at 8 p.m. So until next week, enjoy your week. Take care, Judy.
Bless you.